know you feel that same way too. Oh, I love you more today than yesterday. But that expect as tomorrow. I love you more today than yesterday.
Well,
Good morning, Wayne.
Hey, I caught you off guard. Good morning, David. Welcome to the show. And Robin,
Thank
good morning to
very
you.
much.
And good morning. It's a fabulous day here in Las Vegas.
All right.
Yay!
It really is.
Is it?
It was a beautiful day. Oh my gosh, it's been beautiful and splashing around in the pool and really. But I hit that hurricane thing going through, or the storm in New York a little bit on Friday night. But Saturday it cleared up and my flight was good to go out, so that was good, and New York was really good.
That's great, Robin. Good.
Well, it's good to have you back. We missed you.
It's good to be back.
Yeah, it is. You travel a lot, so.
No, everybody thinks that's, it's once a month. It's not terrible. I'm used to the flights. I used to do it every 3 weeks. Now I do it every 4 weeks, so it's not too bad. Not too bad. Meet some interesting people on the plane. I met a high-end sales manager from British Airlines was my person. I always say, I talk a lot for the first 10 minutes and then I die, so don't worry. I sleep the rest of the way.
The last time I was on an airplane, the woman next to me, I sat down, I was with my daughter, and the woman next to me was saying nothing, and just before the plane set off, and I was thinking maybe we'll have a conversation, she said, "I need a cigarette more than a dead man needs a coffin."
Oh, no.
And that's how I knew the likelihood of further conversation was quite limited.
Oh, my.
Gosh, it's amazing that they used to allow people to smoke on airplanes. I mean, I used to smoke on airplanes.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, you think there's so many things that we did that were dangerous in the old days that we just take for granted today, and or that we're more cautious about today, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, you smoked in the bank, and you might even go to your doctor. You might walk into the exam room, and your doctor's sitting there at his desk smoking a cigarette.
With a cigarette.
Yeah,
that's right.
Big old ashtray full of butts, and he would just butt it out and then just say, "Take your shirt off."
Yep.
And
I had to tell you, when I was dancing in with Pittsburgh Ballet Theater. This is way back in the 70s, and I was dancing in Pittsburgh, and I had chest pains. And so I went into the doctor, and I pulled out my cigarettes at the time, and I had only smoked for a few months. But I pulled out my cigarettes at the time, and I lit up, and I said, so what do you think is wrong? And he picked up the cigarettes. He says, "You smoke these, you have pain. You get rid of them, no pain." And that was it. That's all he told me. And that was the last time I smoked.
Well, isn't it true, or isn't it a thing that people say that doctors have some of the shortest lifespans and all that because of their either that they're smoking, or there's something about doctors that they don't do well
really?
health-wise? Yeah.
well, I've heard the psychiatrists have a high rate of suicide, but as far as medical, I wasn't aware of that. About
medical doctors die at a younger age, I think, is what it is. And yes, I agree with you about the psychiatrists. If you had to listen to other people's problems all day long, you'd probably end up.
Yeah, it's tough. Trust me, it's tough. It can be tough. I did hit that wall when my mom was sick. It was very, very difficult to do work and to take care of her at the same time because you're just mentally stretched. So yeah, that makes sense to me too.
So with the doctors, is it because they're exposed to things, or because they're under a lot of stress, or?
I think it's because they don't take good care of themselves. I think there is a strange dichotomy that they are telling other people, what to do and what they need, but they themselves aren't necessarily living that way. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe some of the listeners have heard that or know that. That it's it's almost an urban thing, myth at this point. I don't know how true it really is. But another one is, the one with policemen and divorce.
Yes. But that makes sense too.
Yeah.
Again, as part of Red Rock, and being around those kind of situations, I can see. I mean, I can imagine day to day, those guys are challenged. What they see and what they feel and what they hear and just what they go through. I mean, we have to be really, really respectful of fire departments and police officers. They go through a ton for us.
They do, but I want to also flip that around and say police officers have to be respectful of us because we go through a lot as well.
Yeah,
like being pulled over by them, like knowing that they can do anything they want, and so on and so on. I mean,
that's true.
It's true.
But they do have some kind of, a
firemen,
superiority complex.
Listen, firemen are at, that old line about, and this is with all due respect to policemen, because there's great policemen out there, but firemen put themselves at risk every single day, just like policemen do. Firemen it's a life and death situation every single day. But I've never met a fireman who's a mean guy. People fighting in Iraq put themselves at risk every single day, and I've never met a disrespectful soldier.
Well,
they do apply to policemen, though.
Yeah.
The pass, the card, the way out, that they are mean-spirited and they're this and that because they kind of have a right to be because of what they deal with. Well, there's people that deal with more than they do that are gentlemen, and I don't buy that for a minute. I do buy, on the other hand, that a policeman can have had his fill on a particular day, and you might get him at the wrong time or something. But as a general rule, for them to treat people disrespectfully or to, give people a bunch of garbage and all that stuff, that's just them. That's a free pass for them. Because I'd like somebody to tell me the last time they met a disrespectful soldier who came back from Iraq. These are the nicest guys, the most respectful people on earth, and they have their life on the line every second. They're not in a nice police car.
There's a difference because of the suspicion level. An officer is constantly on, they're taught, and it's the conditioning. They're taught to be on their toes. And they're suspicious. Is this person trying to hide something, or is this person?
I don't take any of that from them. I don't take any of that from them.
But that conditioning. It just shows you their conditioning of that, and then switching it off to be a nice guy, is something that they do environmentally. I think. I'm just guessing, and when they go home, they try to turn it off and be with their kids and do the right thing. But when they're physically in the field and they've pulled you over, right away they're going to be suspicious. That's just their nature because of how they're conditioned.
Well, absolutely.
It's a tough job either way.
It's a tough job.
Yeah.
So is being a fireman. So is being a soldier, and many other things. It's all tough, and all of us have tough jobs. Not everybody, but a lot of people do have tough jobs. They're dealing with raising a family, dealing with the kids, and it's tough. Everybody has situations that are going to come up. I don't give them the free pass maybe as easily as some others would with regard to treating people just decent. If you're treating them nicely, and here's the thing I'd like to say to them as a group, if you end up treating people rudely or badly or purposely pushing the limits of your power, then you put in their mind a bad thought, and later they're going to show you disrespect, and you're getting the very disrespect that you were saying that, you're creating the very problem of the public disrespecting you or not wanting to be around you by the way that you treat them. It just is like a boomerang. It comes right back to hit you. Now, this is not every policeman, by the way. I know I have two policeman friends, wonderful guys, but even from them I've heard stories of people on the force, and there's people that get into that are in the wrong business. They should be in some other business, like MMA fighting or something.
I do think that they do need a management, some kind of a management training that balances that. Do you know what I mean? They do need some kind of a thing there. So I do agree that that they definitely need help. I just when you see these guys doing what they do, and they see the garbage every day that they have to deal with. It's a challenge.
Yeah, no,
It's a
there's no question
challenge
about
for
it.
them, you know, to manage it. So, but so how was your weekend, Dwayne, David?
Well, Dwayne, you go first.
I'm trying to think. Oh, it was very nice. I went Saturday afternoon to my first Buddhist funeral.
Oh,
Right.
what was that like?
Well, unfortunately, because I have, a family, sometimes we get places late. And so I missed the reading because I was interested just from a cultural perspective to see what it was like. And I missed that part. And so by the time I got there, there was just the, sandalwood incense hanging in the air, and they were playing they had the video roll going where they had spliced together all the pictures of her life, and oh my goodness, I can't believe I don't remember the song. I wanted to remember to talk about it. This most beautiful song playing. I'll hit up my
That's
sister.
unlike you not to remember a song.
Oh, I
It's your
know.
sister's song.
I'm drawing a blank. I'll hit up my sister-in-law on Facebook during the radio show and try to remember that song. It was just beautifully, beautifully done. It was very touching, and I'm just sorry that I missed the first part. I mean, that's not my faith, but again, from a cultural perspective, I wanted to see kind of how, because based on that faith or belief system, if you will, and which is sort of the same for Christianity, but in a different way, it's a Buddhist funeral is more like a birthday party because they believe in rebirth. I mean, Christians believe in eternal life, but we all know the differences there. So again, I was curious to see how it would be addressed, and unfortunately, I did miss it. And then after that, as soon as we finished with that event, we had to rush across town because my niece, who has been fighting in Afghanistan, is home now. She's home. She's back
That's
from
fabulous.
the war. She's 20 years old. She weighs all of 100 pounds, and I have pictures of her in full battle gear. Oh, let me get rid of that echo. She in full battle dress. That pack, I know it's got to weigh with all the stuff and the boots 75 pounds.
Oh, at least.
She weighs 100 pounds. So
Wow.
I'm just so proud of her. She just,
Well, thank God she's safe.
yeah, and I'm just going to say it. And she wouldn't care. She'd laugh. She'd go, "Uncle D, you're so crazy." She left here playing for the other team. She came back with one in the oven, and so at the party, she had her the father of the baby and the husband to be with her, and he's just the nicest guy. He's going to become a policeman in the Huntsville Police Department, and God, it was just so great to see her. I'm so proud of her, and glad she got her life kind of turned around there. But
That's fabulous.
yeah, so
And that she's okay. That's the key.
she's
that's the
okay.
key thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
that's
Yeah.
tough for somebody a little pint like that.
And we complain about the heat here. I
know.
hear it's like 200 degree knots, but it's hotter there than it is here.
Huh.
It gets like 130, I think, 140. I don't know. It's extreme.
And with a pack,
Well,
I
and on
can
top
relate.
of that, they're wearing clothes.
Yeah.
They're wearing the military clothes and stuff, which really cook you anyway.
Yep.
So
that was my weekend. Then yesterday, at church, I met a guy, Dr. Harold Eberly. He came and spoke. He was a guest speaker. He's written over 30 books. What a brilliant guy. And he insisted that I take one of his books. He had, when you have 30 books, of course, you got a little table in the back where people can buy your books. And one of his books, because we had a chance to chat, and he heard a little bit of my story, he insisted that I take one of his books without paying for it, which when he had his back turned, I slipped around and paid the lady, but because I didn't want to take his book. It's called Compassionate Capitalism, and what a great book. There's two books out by that title, one written by somebody else, but this one's written by Harold Eberly, and it's really good. And so I had a great weekend, chock full of all kinds of adventures. from a Buddhist
Well,
funeral to a noted author, you know. So life's good.
Well, good.
Now,
Life is
would
good.
you,
That's
let's see, only person we haven't covered yet is David. What'd you do?
Yeah.
Well, let's see. This weekend didn't do much. Last week was a big, busy week in the markets. There was I felt like I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday might have been the most important day of the whole year. I can't remember which day it was already, but basically I took a break, had a little bit of business to do on the weekend, but other than that, I got a nice time to spend some time. Had a nice dinner with my daughter, who's about 30 years old, and she's a very interesting and eclectic woman, and I suppose I should have expected that, perhaps, but she turned out very well. And I think that's about it. Just the heat. It was very, very hot here in Las Vegas over this weekend. We had yesterday, it was around 112 degrees here. Dwayne, you must have had insane heat.
Yeah, you must have been worse than us.
It was
Okay.
113. It was 113, 114, somewhere in there. It was a continuation of that extreme heat warning. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we definitely had that, and it is summer's come just a little bit early. Summer has visited us just a little bit early, so we'll just deal with that. And no, had a nice weekend, just a relaxing weekend. A lot of times, I don't know, for other people that are in business, you have a list of things that you have to get done, and you try to get advance on some of those every single day. But sometimes they cluster up, and you have more than others, and you have to spend your off time cleaning those up, and that's one of the things that I did this weekend, and I'm going to continue to do until I get these things behind me, because I don't like to leave things undone and put them aside. It's so much better to get them done. It hurts while you're doing them. It's like, God, I don't want to be here, but just finish them up. And there's a human trait, almost like a principle that people see. You see it in other people. You probably have seen it yourself, and that is that you will. We will, all of us will sometimes, instead of doing 1 minute worth of something that's uncomfortable to us, uncomfortable not for a good reason, just uncomfortable because we're not in the mood to do it, but we will not do the 1 minute, even though we know it's going to cause us 4 hours worth of stuff we're going to have to do later. We won't do the 1 minute of stuff right now, or we're taking the bet that it won't cause the 4 hours of problems later. And I've just learned over life that it's just better in every case to do the 1 minute now or the 2 minutes now than it is to let it sit for another time when you can sort of quote unquote get to it. And I've really found that to be a very important thing for me, because it frees up immediately. It doesn't let things accumulate. And sometimes life throws some, you've got other things going on. You have to take care of them, and I'm getting through as many of those as I can. But that's something that I would ask the listeners to look at in their own lives to see. It's just like the classic for the man, the socks on the floor. How many times you walk by them and they're there? Yeah, I'll have to pick that up. Yeah, I think I'll pick that up a little later. Instead of just picking it up right now, because just that 2 seconds that it takes to bend down and pick it up is an interruption in your flow. And that interruption is more painful to you than actually just being done with the whole thing. And so we have to reverse our thinking a little bit and realize that if we get done with these things, then we're wide open, and we can be much more creative. We won't have all these things pressing on us that we have to get done. So anyway, just a little tip for the day there for people, because I've seen all these things in myself, and I've really worked hard in the last several years to clean up every area of my life, just as if I was going to die tomorrow, just getting all the little details taken care of. Not to be macabre about it, but just that kind of thing. Just keeping everything nice and clean, getting things done that need to be done as best as you can. And I still have quite a list, but I would have one much, much bigger list if I hadn't, gotten through a lot of the stuff. So everyone has to look in their own lives and see what they're doing with the socks on the floor in their own lives. And hopefully we get to a point where we don't have to have our wives or our mothers tell us to pick them up anymore. So anyway, other than that, I'm ready to, Dwayne, if you are, unless there's some interesting news, I'm ready to chit-chat about the markets here. a little bit. I think we have a number of interesting things. But is there anything interesting in the news other than the employment and other facts, other than the fact that our administration is swirled in about 4 very serious controversies that they're trying to wriggle their ways out of? Not the least of which that every bit of your internet usage and telephone usage is recorded in a big machine somewhere in Oregon or something.
Yeah, that we haven't
You
talked
know about all that?
we haven't talked about that here on the radio show. This thing called PRISM, I guess. I just kind of assumed that they were, doing that anyway. I guess when this news broke, it didn't really seem like news to me. I guess it should have, but I just figured they were doing it anyway. So we've not talked about it on the show. What is your take on it, David and Robin both? What do you guys think about this?
Well, Robin, you go ahead. Well, Robin doesn't want to go ahead. Well, I'll tell you. I really believe in chasing down terrorism, and I believe in them monitoring and doing all the things they have to do. But a lot of what the system is set up to do is for a judge to give them a court order or for them to somehow have a very fast way to be able to listen to and monitor certain things. And their argument could be, well, we don't always have the time to get that and we have to monitor right now and so on. But what they're doing is they're essentially taking every single phone call that's made in the United States and recording all the information on you, your phone call, your individual cell phone, your home phone, and additionally tying that in with all of your computer access. They can put a history together of every single site you've ever visited. And is that really necessary, that every man, woman, child on the internet that we have that recorded history? And are they going to use that in some way against us? And, of course, the answer is yes. Of course they are. To have the power is to use the power, and they're going to use that power. So, I don't know. This is the way that they get in, though, is they get in by saying we're doing this to protect you. That's how they do it. This is all for your good. And,
I guess I think we're in just unusual times because of the technology being so deep. It goes so deep, the technology and the ability to go into these areas. I just think that the Founding Fathers never knew that this kind of thing would possibly happen. And I think that the laws that are on the books right now were there to protect us, and I really firmly believe that those beliefs in the Constitution should be respected. What I have a problem with is the administration breaking the rules of the Constitution and not doing what they're supposed to do to fix it, either to propose something different or whatever. I have a problem with the government just blatantly breaking some of these laws, with the IRS and with the, some of these things that they did to these people with the IRS that they targeted were, it's unconstitutional.
Right.
And if we can't have the government stick to the Constitution, then who's going to stick to the Constitution? What do we have it for?
Right.
I mean, their whole being, and I wish the president would state that he is the supervisor of the Constitution for all the people. He's there to protect us.
I believe he's a constitutional scholar. I think part of his training, I believe he did constitutional law work before this. So you would think of anybody that he would have that information, and no. Yeah. But he has an attorney general who said that the Second Amendment never referred to individuals. So I mean,
well, this is the challenge. That's the challenge. I mean, so that's kind of where I am. I mean, I just stick to the Constitution, and if you feel that you need to do something to catch up with technology or catch up with what has to be there because it's in conflict with the Constitution, then propose something and let the people decide, which is the deal here. So, we're getting down to the guns thing, and we're getting down to the cell phone tracking, and I can understand that there's a handful in comparison to the amount of people that are on a cell phone, there are a handful of terrorists that are out there that are using the technology because they can. I mean, it's clearly, you know, it's like a person in prison who's just a lifelong criminal. When he gets out, he's just he's going to find another way to beat the system. I mean, this is what the terrorists do. So they're going to find a way, no matter what system we have, to beat it, and they're taking advantage of it. And to get a handful of people, though, to go against the Constitution, I have a problem with that. I have a problem.
Yeah, well.
Because who's protecting me then? Then nothing's protecting me as an individual. Nobody's protecting the little guy. Or the little girl.
Or the little girl, yeah. I don't know. We'll see, Dwayne. I don't have much more to add to it.
Yeah, I don't. I suppose I should like be all worked up and like foaming at the mouth like Alex Jones and pounding the table.
Typically, you are.
But
what happened?
I don't know. I guess probably until it's made personal and really, if I don't know. I'm not worked up about it, and I kind of tried to get myself worked up, but. Maybe I will. Maybe by tomorrow I'll be furious.
Maybe we can. Yeah, listen, I am somewhat the same way that Dwayne said, which is that I assumed already, because the NSA does listen to phone calls, and there really is some great work going on to catch certain phrases and things like that. So that's necessary, and they have computers mostly doing that, and that's what they're monitoring. But we're at the point now where the government's going to have an entire history on you, including medical, everything you've ever done on the internet, every phone call you've ever made, and it's going to be stored. And it's basically, you just at some point, where does it all end? And I'm just waiting for the guy to come out and say, well, if you're not doing anything wrong, then it shouldn't bother you.
Yeah.
Because that's coming. Now we want to do this. Well, why does that bother you? Well, it shouldn't bother you, because if you're not doing anything wrong, it shouldn't bother you at all. That's what they're going to be saying. So. So 1984, George Orwell in Orwell. I mean, this is Orwellian now.
Oh, this is so beyond that, I think.
Yeah.
Now, you had asked a while back, whatever happened to Sheriff Joe and his rampage about the Obama birth certificate fraud.
I had thought that he had ended it.
This jumped out at me over the weekend. I hadn't heard anything either, and now here there's a series of there's a bunch of interviews, guys. If you just Google, what did I Google to find this? I forget. I think Arpaio, Obama birth certificate, and there's a series of interviews here. Looks like I haven't watched the videos yet. I'm going to try to do that this afternoon. But apparently he's still hot on the trail, and he's not going to let go. So anybody that wants to watch him, if you haven't watched him, I'm going to watch him, and I'll be able to discuss what he has to say. I mean, if he has some new evidence or some smoking gun, I don't know, but he hasn't let it go. So
he hasn't let it go. Okay.
He has not let it go.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Well, we'll see.
I don't know.
All right. Well, if you want to, Dwayne, let's get over to the markets. Let's take a quick look at what we have going here.
Oh, Jim had typed in that in Iraq, which I guess is a lot like Afghanistan. Temperatures range from 80 to 105 at night, 110 to 145 during the day.
Yikes! Yikes.
145 degrees.
That's
oppressive. That is horrible. Oh my goodness.
Oh, now Bruce just typed in something about the OnStar, that thing in your vehicle.
Yep.
Now,
that tracks you as
soon as that thing came out, now that just totally creeped me out. I asked my wife, I said, you realize that these people at the OnStar, if they're bored and don't have anything better to do, they're listening to everything we say right now. And she goes, no, David said they can't really hide a microphone in there. But I go, oh, okay.
No, it's not that they're listening to everything. You have to make a connection to OnStar.
Oh, do you?
You have to push the button. You do. And maybe they can push the button for you and listen to everything you say. And that way
they can unlock my car if I lock my keys in it. I think they can throw the switch.
Listen, not only that, Dwayne, they can not only unlock your car, but they can also do software upgrades and things from OnStar, which they did for me. So while I was driving my car, she says, well, let me download the latest of such and such to you, and it was downloaded and complete while my car was driving.
That's amazing.
So, yeah, they can do all that stuff. And they do. Listen, every new car is completely trackable, you know, and it has all the GPS and all that stuff. So, you know, that's trackable. Every moment of your driving is trackable. There's no question. Now, is it recorded? Is it stored somewhere? It's probably going to be from now on with this new facility, and if it's not already. So not only is every phone call, every internet search completely recorded and stored, but they also know exactly where you're going, where you are at any moment, where your car is, and because of your cell phone, where you are. So, yeah, we've gotten used to that. You know, we've gotten pretty used to that, and there are some great benefits, obviously, that come along with that. But there's going to be great abuses of that. So we all know that. You know, that's coming if it hasn't already. So, okay. So let's talk about the S&P 500. By the way, the only way around that is you'd have to drive a pretty much a 1990s town and country, I think, would be an appropriate vehicle, Dwayne, to get around having it tracked by the GPS. So you at least have that. But they already know where you are. You're always at home. So it's easy to know Dwayne.
No, he's not. The kids make him get out.
They just say, where's Dwayne? And they say, oh, he's at his house. Something like that.
Yep, that's where I'm at.
All right. So let's start with the S&P. I will just recover or re-go over a little bit what we've talked about leading up to now. There's not a lot to add to it except that we'll do a review and take it right up to where we are. We had the weekly top a few weeks back, the week of May 22nd. We wanted to see it close below 1666, which would then send the market into a multi-week decline. We got our decline. The next level, I forgot even now what our first target was, but it was around 1626 on the downside, 1628 to 25. They reached that, they bounced, and then the next level for us on the downside of importance was 1694, and they didn't quite reach that. They got down to 1696.50, and often being unable to reach a target like that would mean hidden buying pressure, and we have in fact had a couple of days up here of pretty good size. That leaves the market at kind of a near critical juncture, but not quite a critical juncture yet on the upside. So we're on, we've traded this morning on the long side, but on the short side earlier. We're waiting right now for on the longer term, on the daily and so on, for a little bit more action on the upside before we take our next larger signal. I do want to say, though, however, that we believe that the S&P will likely, barring any breakout, will likely be retesting the 1610 level later this month. So barring any huge news and just complete endless bull run type of continuation, we believe the market's going to be retesting 1610, and that there is going to be a very good trade setting up for a move to that level. For those of you that would want to get all the more specifics on that, we have our weekly meetings that we have. These are the institutional. You're more than welcome to come and sign up for that and see if any of these longer-term setups have an interest to you. But one of the things that you can get is the exact date that these prices, like as an example, 1610, is due on, and so on. But for the listeners of the program, even if you don't want to come, you can know that that's a very good likelihood later this month, and that would be a trade that we're going to be putting together a little later. Dwayne, if you want to cover something here with the S&P, if you haven't already, go ahead.
No, I think I've already covered it. We hit our weekly zone, 47.48 so far. That's high of the day. We also tagged it on the downside last night, and so we've got the range. I'll say this. The playing field this week is pretty broad. We got about 100 points from top to bottom. So I think, we're going to see some pretty good two-sided action. like we did last week. I think we're in for another good week. Today certainly has been very nice. I mean, we had a swing low on the Globex Open last night, all the way down at 34.50, and then our swing high today up at 48.50. So that's what, a 10-point move? No, that's not right. The swing low was 34.50 up to 48.50, so that's 14 points, right? Yeah. Michael normally does the mathematical heavy lifting for me, but I believe that's 14. So a 14-point range so far on this session, and the session's not over, so that's not bad. That's about it for me on the S&P. We had a nice tweet on the Globex both Friday afternoon going into the close, and also off of the open last night. It was a two-stage tweet. You could get in at 35 or you could get in at 38. Either way you got in, you didn't take much heat at all. If you heeded my cautionary device, you didn't get the full ride, but you got a nice ride. And for those who hung out, congratulations and good for you. With that, we can move, I guess, to gold, if that's where you want to go.
Let's go. Okay, let's take a quick look. We have a few, there's quite a few things, actually. Yesterday we sent out a number, probably 6 or 7, new indications for this week, longer-term setups in these various markets. One of the big trades or bigger trades that we had recently in gold revolved around the $1,414 level that we were talking about, selling short at 14.14 for a decline to 13.78. We were originally looking for 13.78 to occur around June 4th. It did hit it on June 7th, but we also had a week of June 10th due for 13.78 as well. So the market kind of massaged those two independent things and ended up giving us on June 7th the 13.77 swing low, completing the 13.78 target. Today's low has been 13.75. So if we close in gold above 13.74, actually, putting the 78 target aside, if we close above 74, worst case, and 78, the original roadmap target, you know what? That's a pretty good close. Even though the market's been pretty quiet, we like that. And so we may have a buy signal, because in general we think that this week is very likely to mark a bottom in the gold market. So that's how we're watching and thinking about gold. We're going to wait for the next setup here according to those closing levels that we just talked about. And then let's move past gold real quick and take a quick look at the bond market. And again, we've talked about how bonds continue to decline here. We're now breaking or testing the low made on May 29th, which we think was a very important.
We discussed Friday that rollover has happened on the bonds?
Yeah, we're in September.
So we're in the month of U.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Gotcha.
Yeah, we're in the month of U. So that low that they made back on May 29th is important. The market has declined today further. So you know what? There's a lot of selling pressure on the bonds here, and this is in spite of the big investment that the government makes every month. And the bond market, of course, is going to adjust more and more over time to that investment. And at some point it's going to be just as if it's not there at all, because it's not a fixed thing that just because they keep putting that big money in that the market keeps responding to it. The market adjusts to its inputs. This is a very important principle of market movement. It adjusts to its inputs. And this is why the market can appear to be very tricky, because as people start to do a certain thing, the market tends to adjust to that over time. And even big things like $80 billion in input, money being put into the market will eventually adjust to the point where it is meaningless to the market. It doesn't do anything to it, even though other factors in the market haven't changed. The 80 billion might have once really moved it, but after a while it actually adjusts and acts as if nothing happened. So I think we're potentially near that spot, and that's why during the last big run-up we were saying on this radio program, this may be the last big run-up. I'm talking about the run-up into May of this month. So the high that they made, we had a forecast for 149, and we were warning, saying that, you know what, this may be the last big rally before we get a much larger decline and interest rates go up. I can assure you the interest rates have gone up. 30-year money has gone up, and you're going to be seeing it inch over 4% pretty soon if they continue to move down here a little bit. So keep that in mind. Let's see. We'll move ahead with this.
Hey, that's good. That's good, Robin. All those people that watch cat videos endlessly on the internet, we can get them to come. No, we can get them to come and listen to the radio program. I think that's great.
She does this when I'm sitting here, and she's jealous that I'm not paying attention to her, and she's a talker. So, I have to kick her out. Sorry about that.
No, that's fine.
Oh, no, that's fine. That's the sweetest
It makes the show human.
Oh. Yes, it does.
It certainly does. It actually makes it animal-like.
Makes it animal-like.
So real quick on the euro, we do have a setup in euro right now in our institutional stuff. If you'd like to find out, I'm sorry we can't go into the details. It's more details than I can actually give up. It's actually a multi-stage setup for this, multi-day, multi-stage setup. So it requires some explanation, but we've given it all out. And if you have an interest, give us a call, 888-231-4702, and you can get in and check those trades out if you want to. But in general, the euro has had a very powerful run up here, and under normal conditions, we would expect a reaction off of the recent highs here, more than what we've just seen. So we'll continue to watch this. Maybe that's helpful to you, but we'll continue to watch that as well. Also, going over to the crude oil market. In the crude oil market, there is a bullish monthly move to the upside underway. We like the idea, and we've instructed people, our own end on the radio program, that they could go ahead and sell put premium in options for people who use the options. Not everybody does, and I realize that. But it is a really nice way to get some income coming in, and you don't have to watch the market tick for tick. Having said that, we do expect some kind of pullback here from the market into at least next week. That's the normal thing for the market to do here. So, and again, I have all the full details of how to trade that, where they're going, what date they'll get there, and so on. But I think as a general observation, I like the short side of the market short term, but longer term, we want to find a place to buy the market for further substantial advance into later this year. And that, of course, means gasoline prices going up and so on. Speaking of gasoline prices, and my favorite subject, electric cars, which I wanted to mention, prices have come down substantially by almost every maker now of electric cars, and I mean substantially. The Nissan Leaf, it's not one of my favorites by any stretch, but it actually is a very practical and usable electric vehicle, very unusual looking, not pretty or beautiful, that's for sure. Everyone will know you're a green eco person if that means something to you. They dropped $6,000 or $7,000 off their price, bringing the car down to $28,000 base. That means with the federal tax credit, you're at about $19,000 for a Nissan Leaf. That's a fully loaded everything, stereo, air conditioning, every possible, navigation, all that in there for $19,000 after your federal tax credit. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about that tax credit, though, because you have to have enough income to get that tax credit. You don't get a check from the government. What you get to do is not pay the government $7,500. So if you owe enough taxes that you would owe more than $7,500 or at least $7,500, then you can take that off. If you don't get any rebate or check. So you want to make sure that you understand how that rebate works. Fiat has, through Chrysler, has their little Fiat 500 EV that's coming out. That'll go probably easily 100 miles in a day. That car's $32,000. The Chevy Spark's coming out. That's $28,000. Minus the $7,500 brings it down to about $20,000. So these prices are coming down. This is significant stuff. The Chevy Volt is going to be, some dealers are selling the Chevy Volt for $8,000 off the sticker to try to compete with the lowering of these other prices. And now, for the first time in the EV, electric vehicle history, there are actually out of cars at dealerships The public has rushed in this
Really?
last couple of weeks. Yes, with these price discounts, the public has suddenly rushed in, and many dealerships have reported being out of Nissan Leafs, out of they're 50 deep in orders for the Chevy Spark, for the Fiat 500, and so on, because you can get these cars for $199 a month on a lease. You go in with $1,000, and for $199 a month, you have a car that'll save you the $450 a month you're spending on gasoline in your 11 mile per hour.
So they're back to offering that $199 lease deal.
Yep, $199 lease Chevy Spark, $199
Oh,
lease.
I heard.
Oh,
I
the
did hear that.
Spark.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
No,
okay.
no. But wait, hold on. It's more than that. $199 for Spark, $199 for Fiat, $199 for Nissan Leaf. So all three of those will have $199 leases on them. So that's pretty good.
So the Fiat, well, what does that Fiat look like?
It's actually kind of cute. If you would bring it
I
up,
love
just
that
put
little
it.
Fiat.
Some people are not that crazy about it, but it is a cute car. I mean, it's just go put up Fiat 500e.
Okay.
Make sure you put the E after it.
What is
And
this
then we'll
all
get back
about?
to the market.
What is this all about? I haven't had a chance
You.
to.
I think
Is
that's
that
you.
me? Okay. That's me in my trading outfit, right there.
Oh, yeah.
Fiat.
What was that? I don't know what that was.
I don't know.
I saw it the other day. I saw it yesterday. I don't know what
500e, David. 500e.
There you go. Yeah, that's right. That's right. 500e.
All right.
Then
Bring
hit
it
your
on.
little images, and we'll be right to it. Hit your images up there. There you go. There it is. So that's the 500e.
Okay. That is a little.
It's a small car.
Yeah, eco chic in the modern world. Gallery.
There you are.
It
Now that
reminds
car
me
you
of
can
the
drive.
bug. It's like
Yeah.
a different little thing of a bug.
Right. $199 a month. You can drive 100 miles on it in a day. It's EPA rated at 87, but I happen to know that if you drive it just ordinarily, it'll do much more
Is
than
that out now? This one?
This is just about out. It's probably 30 days away.
This is
from
all
being
electric. Or
This
it's
is
both.
all electric. This is all electric.
So if you run out, you run out. That's it. You
Yeah.
don't have the gas thing like
You don't
your
have
car.
the gas. You don't have the gas generator
Oh,
backup.
you don't
but-
have the gas.
but
Ah.
you
Is this
have
a-
100 miles? Go ahead.
Is it a two-seater or a four-seater?
It's actually a four-seater, but the people that would be sitting in the back would have been crippled in a bizarre vending machine accident in order to fit in the back
Well,
seat.
how about my kids? Would my kids fit back there?
Your kids would fit back there very nicely. You would be much more suitable for the Nissan Leaf. Now, go type in the Nissan Leaf so you can see what kind of abomination that is,
Okay.
and see if you can drive one.
Nissan Leaf. I mean, for $50 a week, and you don't have to buy any gas. That's kind of a
People are
Yeah.
getting it, Dwayne.
That's pretty
People
slick.
are starting to get it. Doesn't look too
Yeah,
bad there, does it?
I think the transition may have happened.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're accepting this. They're accepting this new kind of vehicle.
Well, it's for people who know that they're really, and there's places to plug these cars in.
Hey, I'm moving that with my mouse. How cool is that?
Yeah. It's not that bad looking, but it's a very practical car. This would fit you much better, Dwayne, because
Oh, yeah.
it has,
Oh, yeah.
it's got 4 doors, plenty of storage space. It still will do about 85,
Now,
84 miles.
Do I need the special electric, or can I plug into an ordinary outlet?
You can plug into an ordinary outlet, but you would want to install the special one, and here's why. Because the new Nissan Leaf has a 6.6 kilowatt charger, although that may not make a lot of sense right now. The 6.6 means that it'll charge that full battery
Fast.
in about 3.5, 4 hours
Oh,
for the
man, that's
whole
awesome.
85 miles. And listen, you can plug it in for 45 minutes and get, or an hour, and get about 20 miles worth of or whatever it is. There's also places to plug in all over Arizona. You guys have quite a number of places to plug in. So
And does this sync up with your iPhone or Android
Yes.
phone? Or
absolutely, does all the stuff that a regular car does.
well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's $199. That's
That's
pretty good.
fabulous.
And what are the terms of the lease? 3 years, 4 years?
It's 3 years. They're 3-year leases, and you can see up there that they're quoting the $21,300 price.
Uh-huh.
That's the base model minus your tax credit, and that would you can see the 3 prices are down there. Those are all the prices, even going up to the fully loaded model. And really, the fully loaded has it might have leather rather than cloth, but in a hot environment, you would want cloth rather than leather.
Yeah.
What's the rebate? How much is the rebate? Is a percentage? Oh, it's $7,500 flat.
It's a federal rebate, and in California, for those of you that live in California, California will give you an additional $2,500. So you actually get $10,000 off the $28,000 base price. You're going to get
have
that
my brother buy it and ship it to me. Yeah, there you go. That's
and
great.
I'll visit you in prison. It'll be great.
He could sell it to me. What would be the difference? Oh, because I'd have to have the lease. I'd have to have the lease.
No, one thing I do have to mention, though, if you lease the vehicle, you don't get the $7,500 tax credit, only if you purchase it outright.
Oh, see.
What they will do for you, the company that leases it to you, the company that advances the funds to the company, the bank, they get the $7,500 tax credit, and they give it to you in part in the form of lower depreciation. In other words, the residual value of the vehicle is higher. They give some of that to you out of love. And you could then get some value out of that in the form of lower residual. That means your payment is lower and so on. But they're not making money on these. They're just, but they're out there. What's that?
Huh?
I'm sorry.
So anyway, people are getting it. People are starting to get it, and especially in California, they're starting to really see a run because the prices have come down enough, and most people realize, hey, I can stop buying gasoline and drive all day, and I'm not going to drive 100 miles in a day, or 90 or 80 miles for many people, and this vehicle will suit me perfectly, and I never pay for gas, $199. So consider all that. It's great stuff, and just like Michael J. Fox in Back to the Future, you kids are going to love it. It's so much fun.
How many miles are you allowed to drive per month on the lease?
Well, there's a couple different kinds of leases that they have. Most of them have 12 to 15,000 mile leases. You have to check with each one.
Okay.
One of them, the Honda Fit, which we didn't mention, which is only available in California, the Honda Fit EV, which is a very practical car, is unlimited in miles. So the lease is there. It's unlimited, though.
Okay.
But they're actually at $259 a month. So anyway, and I wanted to say this. If I end up with a Chevy Spark, which is a completely ridiculous-looking small car, which you could put up there, I'll take a picture of it, and you can put it on your site if I end up with one.
Okay.
But that's the Nissan Leaf there. The Chevy Spark is really a car that a little this is for almost kids. It's actually, go to the EV, say Spark EV, because it's actually a different deal. But that's if you put in the EV, it'll show, it has a slightly different bunch of little bits on there, Chevy Spark EV. This car is the car that we've talked about on the program that will give you 400 foot-pounds of torque instantaneously, and that's the reason why somebody like me would own it. Other than that,
here we go. Lease starting at $199 a month. Yeah, 36 a month. That's a fine print there. See, 36 a month, $9.99. Do it signing, tax, title, license, and dealer fees extra. Your payments may vary. Mileage charge of 25 cents per mile over 36,000 miles. So on a 36-month lease, this one gives you 10,000 miles a year. Which is 12 times. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Yes. Yeah. And so, they say
that's the average.
Well, they used to say that the average for a family or driver was 10,000 miles a year, and that included taking a vacation every year. And probably this is a car that you're only going to just drive around town. So I don't think most people would have a problem with a 12,000 mile limit. Do you?
No, the average person doesn't even, no, not at all. The average person doesn't drive more than 35 miles a day. That's the average, but there are people who have 90-mile commutes and so on, that kind of thing. But the 12,000-mile lease works out to 33 miles per day, and Fiat, and then I promise I'll get to the rest of the markets. Fiat's deal is if you buy if you lease their little car, they'll give you 12 free, one rental a month for 3 or 4 days, whatever it is, of a large luxury car or mid-sized luxury car in case you're going to take a long trip.
Oh, well, that's pretty
So
nice.
that's a very clever little piece to throw in there.
Yeah,
That hey, you were worried about range anxiety. Well, here you can just this is built in. You can just go to Enterprise, and they already know who you are because you bought the car, and they zip you right into a rental, and you can go take your long trip.
That's great.
They're coming up with clever things to market these.
That's good.
Okay, so with regard, we got to that with crude, but like I said, we're looking longer term for crude to go substantially higher. We have all the numbers and targets, but short term into next week, I think we're going to see lower prices, and we're going to be trading for those prices. So keep that in mind. We'll talk about that more as we continue on. And then let's see, a couple other markets that we'd want to cover. Let's head over to, let's say, the dollar. This is a market that also has some very important indications along with the euro. The dollar, we think, is putting in a very important bottom here that we would like to take advantage of. I can tell you this, and anybody that has a reflected wave knows about the bottom that's due on the week of June 10th, and that's this week. This is the week of June 10th. So we're looking for the market to bottom. We would like to see the market close above on the week, 81.30 or so. If they do, and we may even do this before, but we have a whole setup for this market as well that would be including targets and whatnot on the upside. This is a larger picture thing. Maybe chat with Bert Schlichter from Daniels Trading to get the margin requirements, find out any other details if you're going to do options or that sort of thing. His phone number, if you want to write it down, is 866-928-3310. He's a friendly chap. He's been around markets about 25 years, and he can help you. There's no doubt in my mind.
Guys, if you call today, I believe he's out today, but Leslie's there, and I'm putting the phone number in the chat box for you. So copy that and save it. Put it somewhere, because the day's coming, you'll need that phone number.
That's right. I think that's absolutely true. The day is coming. We do have a setup on copper. I won't go into the details right now. It's a little complicated. This is another one of these setups that if you would like to listen to and get details on, you can give us a call, and they'll put you into that, and you can listen and get the written instructions of what to do with copper. But in the bigger picture, we have talked about and forecast that May of 2013 would mark a monthly bottom for copper, and that a multi-month advance would ensue. That's what we believe is the case. Substantially higher prices, we think, are likely, and so we're setting up a trade for the long side to get into such a move. So that's all available to you. I can't go into the details. Actually, even to try to verbalize them, it's much better to read them in the format that we put them out, because there is a little complexity to it in the setup of getting in. So. And then I think let's take a look. Soybeans are down a little bit today. We don't have any forecast right now on soybeans, but it's one of my favorite markets. I love the soybean market, and I really think it will continue to see good trades. Dwayne and Michael, they'll trade throughout the day sometimes on it, in and out. But for the longer term, I don't have anything, meaning multi-day. We don't have anything right now. So we just wait. We'll wait for something that accommodates that size of time frame and so on, and we'll mention it on the next program here. Let's see here. I think there might be one or two others I have mentioned on the program. We don't talk about it a lot, but I have mentioned about the Mexican peso and about its important bottom. But what I think is most important today and just all-encompassing, life-changing, is SodaStream. Soda, S-O-D-A. They're through the roof today. You should go take a look at that.
Now, this is another one that's upsetting. This is another one that is upsetting the economy in Israel. It's caused the shekel and the dollar to. I talked about what happens if Google buys Waz or Waze for 1.3 billion, but there's talk about, in that same article, there's talk about this company, which is an Israeli startup. So go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, they've just run through the roof today. They're up $5. They're up $5 today. They've blown through everything.
I told you guys. I told you.
Well, this rumor that Pepsi is going to buy them out, it won't seem to go away, even though the CEO of Pepsi said it's not true.
Yep.
people don't want to believe her. So I don't know. I mean, like if she says it, if she swears up and down it's not true and it really is true, couldn't she get in trouble for that? I mean, she could take the stance, I can neither confirm or deny. You know, she could say that. You know, but
well, what's not true, what is not true today might be true tomorrow, though. She can say, well, we reviewed it and we changed our mind. And now it's true.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a very public CEO. That's a pretty fine line to walk. I mean, she would be better off just saying no comment. You know,
I think not having her say that they're going to buy out that company right now, if there might be plans, is more in SEC thing than leaking something out and running the stock. So I think.
Well, she don't want this stock to run because the more this stock runs, the more she has to pay for it.
Well, I understand that, but what I'm saying is, you know, she doesn't want to give out information at all to be under SEC regulations. I mean, I think, you know, she's saying no, but it would make perfect sense for them to take a leap above Pepsi and be the first ones there. You know, it's like the Keurig. It's like the soda, the coffee machine. You know,
yeah,
I think
what they have to say to themselves,
it.
Is this not going to go away? If this is not going to go away, then we should be a part of it because this is our business. If it is going to go away, then they have no interest at all. What they have to decide, though, and they know, and there's really, these are, you know, there's almost think tank level of thinking that goes on into the decision behind buying a company like this and spending that kind of money, because you have to have a very high probability that you're right about the continued prospects for the company and the fact that it would stop them from potentially damaging your other brands.
Exactly.
So if they're going to buy it, it's one thing to say, well, we're making money on this side, well, we're losing some now on Pepsi because everybody's using soda. They would have to put together a whole strategy now to make sure that soda does not interfere and cannibalize too much of their existing customer base. So they have a lot to think about.
Yeah, or they figure out how to blend it and then reduce their manufacturing on the other stuff. They could cut back half their company.
Right, they're not going to if they make the decision.
Offer a certain amount and have soda and have the soda be the main thing there. But you know, we you know, my thing was around March and it was running around 50, and if you got in at that time, you're up $26.
Yeah,
so
no, it's a beautiful run. This is a beautiful call.
That was a good call.
No doubt. And the thing I was going to say a moment ago was that what you're not going to see Pepsi do, if they were to come out and say, yeah, we are going to buy it, is buy it to make it go away. They're not going to do that, because that would then prove to everybody how valuable it is, and competitors would come up and Pepsi would have gone through that whole thing for nothing, because it would be another soda and another and so on. So if they buy it, it's to be in the deal, and it's to somehow make this company work alongside of theirs without cannibalizing sales. So they have a lot to think about if they're going to do this. This is a very complicated thing. They have to come to a conclusion.
Quantum leap, and it's a paradigm shift. And you know, it's funny that you bring that up. You know, a lot of people think that there's, you know, products are at their, you know, best of the best, and a lot of these big companies will buy out competition that is going to blow them away by a formula or by something, just to get them out of the market and not have them even be produced. And I can't tell you how many things are out there like that. That's terrible. I would really hate that. Well,
I think there's a lot less of that than the urban myth goes. I think companies do buy. I mean, they really do. They buy companies. Sometimes they want to get rid of their competition and so on. But let me give you an example. Dell, the computer company, had bought out, Johnny, what's the name of the other computer company from Dell? What's the other company name from Dell, the second company? Alienware. There was a company called Alienware. Now, Alienware is not clothing. Alienware is high-end gamer computers.
Yeah, those things look pretty out there. Pretty slick.
Computer, yeah. Now, so they were out there, and Alienware was cannibalizing Dell's sales of their high-end laptops and PCs. And so Dell made the decision to buy Alienware. And you could very easily say, well, we're going to go buy Alienware to get rid of them so that we can continue to sell our well-known high-end stuff. Well, no, they didn't. They kept Alienware. Dell now owns them, and Alienware has been shifted the way that they advertise and stuff, and they didn't get rid of them. They're now as a whole separate arm, and there probably is some cannibalization, but in the end, Dell has its own imagery, its own product, and Alienware is distinct in its own way, and they're two separate companies owned by one. That's a good example of a company that many people would say the urban myth would be, well, buy your competition, get rid of them. No, they own the competition. That's better than getting rid of them. They own them, and that's what they're doing. You know, it goes back to that same thing that I heard. I've said this before on the radio, but I just want to say it again because I love saying it. The gosh darn urban myth of the oil companies buying out the guy who had the 50-mile-an-hour carburetor, because that meant that everyone would get 50 miles per gallon. This is when I was in junior high school, so only the older people in the audience, like over 50, know about this or heard about it. And, you know, we just like a year ago finally got a car with fuel injection, super refined aerodynamics, skinny, low-resistance tires. I mean, every single thing you could do to get 50 miles per gallon, a real 50 miles per gallon with gasoline. We finally just got to that point now, you know, 45 years later or whatever it is, you know, since I heard this rumor. There never was a guy that the oil companies bought out that had a 50-mile-an-hour carburetor. These myths go on and on and on and on and on. Now it's, again, 35 years later, we just now can do 50-mile-an-hour or 50-mile-per-gallon car, you know, when it's not electric and all that. The Toyota Prius, you know, can do that. So you hear that a lot, but a lot of times these companies buy these other companies to own them, not to get rid of them, but to actually own them and do something with them. So I think there's a much longer list of that than there is of the ones that just vanish. And sometimes they do vanish. There's no question. Sometimes they buy a division of a company or whatever, and they just merge it in, merge the customer base in, and there you go. But I've seen it both ways. Anyway, great stuff on soda. They really ran that market, and it's up through the roof today.
It's fabulous, fabulous.
For those of you who might be live cattle traders, I know many of you, we don't talk about live cattle, but tomorrow is likely, June 11th is likely going to mark a bottom for this live cattle. This is June live cattle. You can watch that over the next day or so. And some of our institutional, if you want to see something that was really nice, we had what we call a reflected wave breakout on a trade that we had on the hog markets. And you never hear us talk about hogs, but they ran them to the moon over the last 4 or 5 days here, and we had a beautiful trade in this market, completing some very important targets on the upside. So this is not common for us to be in these markets, but sometimes these markets, I know various markets have different opportunities and so on. So we'll keep an eye on those markets. The last thing I wanted to mention was about the Mexican peso. Keep an eye on that because we think that is very ripe for a multi-week advance. And Dwayne, I think that's everything we have that's underway right now in the market. I'd like to invite the listeners to give us a call, 888-231-4702, and come listen in on these meetings. We have them 3 times a week. They're at about 8:15 a.m. in the morning. That's Pacific time. That would be 10:15 Chicago time. And we also send you emails with the distinct entries and exits and so on for these types of trades. You might also check in with Bert Schlichter from Daniels Trading to double check on margins and that sort of thing if you're going to be trading some of these overnight positions. And that's everything I've got, Dwayne.
All right,
Robin, if you want to. Yeah, if you have something else you want to throw in, Robin, or some of your quotes.
Zynga. I'd like to go to Zynga. ZNGA.
Sure. All righty. Let's do it.
There you are.
Real quick, Zynga. And
well, I don't have much to add to Zynga.
Well, I want to talk touch about Zynga. Evidently, they. I love the website Seeking Alpha, and they had a really good thing about Zynga, and they believe it's a buy. And because they believe it's a buy, it's with the online gaming, they're saying that the main reason that this is having trouble right now is because there were a bunch of layoffs. The guy that owns the company, Mark Pincus, is
it's publicly traded now.
Yeah, but he owns 51%, and they're saying if he gives up 51% of the company and he sells it off, this is evidently his fourth company that he's built. So they're saying, oh, would he move? And I think if he got the right offer, he would, or something happens, he would. But I believe he's planning on this online gaming thing. Now, they are in online gaming in London. And so his feeling is that this is just a temporary thing and an adjustment to the company from what's been happening, and that this is a good buy at this point. So I'm holding on to it. Actually, I got back into it. I got out of it at 3:30, and I got back into it again. And I'm going to see what happens here. It seems to be holding at 285, and if this goes and the online gaming regulations do change in the U.S., this thing is just going to go cuckoo. So I'm just holding in and waiting for that.
I mean, they've already changed in Vegas, and Vegas wrote their laws so that other states could partner with them. So unless there is some fundamental information about this company that I'm not aware of at this price, I've said it before, and I'll say it again and go on the record. I think this is a good, I know they're day trading the heck out of it.
Yeah.
But I think this has long-term investment potential, unless there's something I don't know.
Yeah, I do. I think you're right.
Okay, David, Jerry wants to know if you got anything on natural gas at all.
I do actually.
Really get it to stop.
Hey, are you talking to us, Robin?
I'm sorry. I'm having a technical meltdown here. Sorry.
Okay. Oh, no, that's fine. Let me get over there. I do have something on natural gas, and this again, I'm sorry to have to say this, but I'll give you what I can. But there is a more complex setup that's coming into play for natural gas. But I will tell you this: we're looking for the week of June 10th, which is this week, to normally be a bottom. But having said that, there are some important prices below us that we think need to be touched or tested by the market. And so, again, this is why it would be important to get the full details. That's one of the reasons I skipped over it today, is because it has a little more complexity to it, and I would want to get it to you correctly and right. And again, you can give us a call, 888-231-4702, sign up for the thing, and listen in, or get the email of what we're going to do with natural gas here. We've had a number of seriously nice, if I may say so, trades going all the way back many months here, where the market all the way back to February, where we were in a good portion of the rally up and so on. If you take a look at the rally that they had off of the February weekly bottom, just beautiful, beautiful stuff on the upside. And we're now getting in position, but there are some important things that have to happen on this decline, technically, that would validate the longer-term setup as a weekly bottom for the week of June 10th. And so to go into that for you, put that in writing so that it's not confusing. We'd be very happy to do that. No charge. Just give us a call. They'll put you into the deal there, and you can listen in on that. But at least you know that this is the on-time week for the bottom, so I can give you that, and that's a starting point to start trading this stuff. Remember, you don't have to necessarily, other than trading extremely short-term, you don't have to necessarily be in the market every single day. Warren Buffett, not that we're aligning ourselves or any of you with Warren Buffett, but a great or very skilled investor isn't necessarily doing something every day. He may be researching, he may be looking around, he may just be waiting for the markets to get into a position that looks appealing to him, that suddenly makes sense to him. And that's how we are. We're waiting around. We almost trade with these types of trades by exception. We're just waiting for the very easy and most obvious things to set up. And when they do, we feel that the odds are in our favor and we're able to step in. So hope that's useful information there.
All right, David, thanks so much. Jerry, hang out. We'll go over that natural gas for you. Robin, did you have a quote?
I've got my quotes.
All right, let's go.
if you really want something, you can figure it out how to make it happen. Share. Flaming enthusiasm backed up by horse sense and persistence is the quality that most frequently makes for success. Dale Carnegie. Never be afraid to sit a while and think. Lorraine Horsby.
Very good. Carnegie, he was the one that wrote How to Win Friends and
Yes.
Influence People.
People. Yes.
Why you would want to do either of those things, I don't know, but he wrote a whole book about it. So.
Yes, he did. Okay, and thank you, Dwayne. Thank you, David. I'm so sorry for all the bleeping and stuff.
Oh, that's all right.
Back here.
It reminded me of Lost in Space with Billy Mummy, who, if you remember Billy Mummy,
I
he was.
apologize, guys.
No,
I
it's
apologize.
some good sound effects in the background.
I apologize. I just,
No worries.
and all my screens just went black. I have no idea what's happening. I just, like, all of a sudden, everything just went berserk in my office.
All right. Well, if you need some help, give me a call after the show.
Thank
Yes,
you
I
guys.
will.
See you tomorrow. Thank you, Robin.
All right.
Dwayne. See you guys tomorrow.
Love you
Take
guys.
care, guys.
Have a great day.
Have a great
Bye-bye.
afternoon.
Notice what time it was. All I know is that I fell in love with you. And if all my dreams come true, I'll be spending time with you. Every day's a new day. In love with you. With each day.
Oh, that song has become a real comedy of errors. It's amazing how when I forget to click the one button, how he tries to, I mean, now, there's no he. It's not like I've got a guy in a sound booth over here singing that thing live trying to catch up, but the way he does speed it up to, it's very interesting. So, anyway. All right, Jerry, let me ask you a question. The Jerry M. who asked about natural gas. Jerry, tell me what your interest in natural gas is. Are you day trading it? Or you swing trading, position trading? What sort of a perspective? Okay, so you're looking for at long term. Okay, gotcha. Now, Jonathan just mentioned that natural gas has been a dog lately, and I know that Jonathan trades it intraday. Okay, he's just looking for, you know, a couple pennies, couple points, whatever the case might be. Very short term, Jonathan says. Okay, so Jerry, let's take a look at this. We've got a descending price channel. Okay, here's the top. Now, if we create a parallel, okay, now when I say parallel, I mean we take that trend line, we copy, we paste, because we want the exact same angle. We bring it over and we just drop it in place. Okay. So we're sitting at the bottom of this price channel. Also, let's go from the last swing low to the last swing high. Okay? Take our fib tool, swing low to the swing high, here to here. We're perched not only at the bottom of this descending price channel, but we're also perched right on top of the 62% retracement. If this area does not hold, this is like the last ditch effort in my book, okay? If I had a book. So it's more like a magazine, really. Now, what would we look for to happen? Well, if this holds, then price will rally, and we'll take a look at what that looks like in just a moment. If this doesn't hold, okay, if this gives way, let's look left. Is there anything significant over here? One might argue that there's some significance here, this little shelf, okay? But I don't see that as a real huge deal. We've got this gap higher open over here, so there's a gap that's never been closed. Some would say that's important. Okay. And then we've got a retest of the low. So if the 62% fib gives way and the bottom of the price channel gives way, now here's what on a price channel like this, here's the trade that I look for. I look for, if price is going to break through, I want to see it break through, and then I want to see it pull back up to test the bottom of the channel. Term for that's a Trader Vic, only because a guy named Vic wrote a book and included this little pattern. But you'll see this little pattern repeated over and over again in every time frame. It breaks through, it pulls back to test the bottom of the channel, it holds, and begins its move down. As soon as it begins its move down after testing, that's when I'm interested in getting in. Now, if you want more confirmation, come in on a break of that swing low right there, wherever that may be. Now, this is just an example. And then know that there's a potential obstacle to the short trade here and here. But once the 62 is broken, there's just not much in the way truly significant, I don't think, for it to go back and test this low. If this gap fills, that could do it. Okay, so if you were to get into this trade as you're trailing it down, be cognizant of this. Actually, probably you should be cognizant of this entire area right here. You know, keep a tight stop. Certainly, by the time price gets to this point, you can get your stop to break even plus a tick or two so that your commissions are covered. And then potentially you'll see a move all the way back down to test the low. And the lows across here oh, it's not a very straight line. Well, you can see the line. I don't really need to draw another one. Right there. This stretches across, of course, over here. Okay. Okay, now that's if the 62 doesn't hold. Now, what if the 62 does hold? All right, let's take a look at that. Let's just get everything off the screen for a minute. Okay. We're at the bottom of the price channel and the 62% retracement. Great place for price to hold and attempt to rally higher. So this time we're going to take our Fibonacci price extension tool. We're going to go from the swing low to the swing high. And we're going to take this little guy here and we're going to drag it down to the swing low that we just put in. And if we start to rally on the upside, these are spots where we could run into resistance. You can look at it as targets if you're getting long here, targets on the upside, and obstacles to the trade going higher. Okay? So here we're at roughly 4.040. Also, when price tried to, we had this big move down, but when price tried to rally right here, it got stopped in its tracks. And this lines up with that fib. That's not a fib I typically use, but I think in this instance it might because of what we got right here. So you could potentially be long from down around 378 up to $4 without really anything at all to get in your way. Beyond that, there's a 38% retracement at 420. And the next one that looks really significant to me is at the 50% fib retracement, which also lines up with this swing high. When we have that kind of confluence, two things coming together, that tends to be pretty significant. And now the previous swing high lines up pretty closely with the 62% retracement. And again, I know my lines aren't perfectly straight, and the reason I can't use my horizontal tool, guys, is because my horizontal tool is programmed to do weekly trading zones, so I have to hand draw my horizontal lines. I know sometimes people watch me and they go, hey, doesn't that guy know there's a horizontal line tool? Yeah, I know. I wish there was 2 of them. So if we hold this 62% retracement in the bottom of the price channel, if we hold on the way up, places you need to consider taking profit or adjusting your stop or locking some in: 404, 420, that is really a pretty crooked line there, isn't it? Let's see if we can. I don't think you need the line. You can see what I'm talking about right here, this whole area. And then same here. You don't really need that line now that we've got the box. Swing high and a fib. Swing high and a fib. Swing high and a fib. An attempted swing high and failed, and a fib. Okay. This one here, there's nothing to correlate. There is over here, but then that gets a little confusing. But you can see what I'm talking about. These lows here, this swing low, does line up pretty closely with that 38% fib there. Okay. So those are the areas that are important. So what you have to do now is, now that we've looked at the possibilities, what could happen, what you have to figure out now if you're trading, let me ask you this: are you currently in a position? Are you currently long or short? And if you don't want to tell me, you don't have to. I'm just going to try to show you what the next step would be. Jonathan says that some Elliott people would say this is the place of the turn to the upside. Okay. This could also be the 4th leg up on a bigger picture from the December low. Okay. Okay, Jerry's not in a position now, but he's thinking about being long. Okay. Then you got to just figure out where you're going to get in. Let's blow this up a little bit. Draw yourself a little trend line here. Now, we're on a daily chart, by the way. Anybody that hadn't already spotted that, we're on a daily chart. So any close above this trend line could serve to get you into that trade. We've got yeah. Actually, look at the highs of the last 2 days. Trading above or closing above the high of the last 2 days and this trend line could be a place to enter your long position, and then your stop would be just below the swing low. Because if your thought is you want to be long, first you want to make sure this 62 holds, you want to make sure the bottom of the price channel holds, and evidence that they're holding is a close back above this trend line and the high of the last 2 days. And if you get long here, the first place that you're going to be watching for potential resistance or obstacle to your long trade is right there. But from here to here, you don't really have anything at all in your way. So I hope that helps. Jonathan says, if it violates the high to the left, far left, it would be a signal we're going lower. Okay. Okay. All right, guys. All right, Jerry, glad I could help. Anybody else got any question on anything at all? If not, I got a dash. Anybody? Hey, Jonathan, maybe we can get together later this week. I still haven't heard from the guy, so just trusting God at this point, man. You know, that's when the devices of man fail us, we realize that only God can save us. You know? Right? All right, guys, I got a couple minutes. If there's anything pressing, any question, anything unanswered. Yes, no, maybe. Very welcome. Okay, for those of you that hung out late, just to show you, we love all people, partners or not. I'm going to take this off. I'm going to put it up here for a minute. Oh, that's the wrong week. What's the week I'm looking for? That was last week. If you continued trading this afternoon and into the overnight Globex session, it's the next rung on the ladder. Okay. You can see we came really close last night. That's why my tweet said consider getting I said once we touch 34, consider being long above 35. Now to be long above 38, that had no disclaimer at all. That was just consider being long above 38. The 35 had a little caveat. It said after we touch 34, then get long above 35. We only got down to 34.50. So I know some people still got in on the 35, but I know that many didn't. And so that cost you, 3 points. And the fact that I encouraged you to get out here also cost you a few points. But the good news is the middle of it was a nice trade for Sunday night. So, okay. All right, guys. I'm going to go. If you need anything, email me, support@cfrn.net. If you'd like to take our free trial, go to cfrn.net/apply. Oh, you know what? I can't believe I forgot. I'm launching a new radio program. I don't know which days of the week it's going to be. My plan is that I'll take like an hour break, maybe 2-hour break, and then I'll come back. We're going to do a radio show that embraces other things having to do with business and finance other than trading the markets. We are the Christian Financial Radio Network. We put our faith before our finances, okay? But I also know and have known for quite some time that not everybody is really cut out for trading in the markets. And it's really kind of disheartening for those who just, for whatever reason, now, I don't want you to give up. Because I think if you persevere, yeah, and that you can learn to trade. But there might be something else that's more natural to you, something that you're more acclimated to. So I don't even have a name for it yet, but it's going to be about business opportunities that exist in the world of technology, online. I want it to be focused, but I don't want to make the boundaries too tight. Oh, we're not going to do this or we're not going to look at that. If it's interesting, if it's moral, if it's ethical, and if it's profitable, and if it's a way that you as a believer can have a business and earn an income and make good money to not only care for your own family, put your own kids through college, but to create wealth that you might be able to build God's kingdom, clothe the naked, house the homeless, feed some of the thousands that will starve to death today. You and I this week will throw away food because we can't eat it all, but yet thousands will die today from starvation. Now, am I saying that to bum you out and make you feel bad? No. I'm saying it to help you remember how blessed you are and how important it is that we not miss the opportunities that are in front of us right now. Never before in the history of man have there been so many opportunities to earn a living, to make profits, to build God's kingdom, to amass wealth for the purpose not of being wealthy, but to care for God's people, to bind up the brokenhearted, to feed the hungry, to preach the gospel to every corner of the universe. Are you with me? So that's what this radio program is going to be about. It's going to be about, and so I'll do interviews with people who are involved in different kinds of businesses, opportunities. I will, of course, vet things as to the very best of my ability, just as I've vetted our guests over the years here on this radio program. Everything, there'll always be, do your own due diligence, take a close look. Don't just go writing blank checks to people you don't know. But we're going to look at other ways that you as a believer can earn money to support your family and build God's kingdom other than just trading. Now, some of you might be doing very well at trading, and you got some money that you'd like to parlay into other areas. Maybe building some online businesses, whatever it might be, okay? So I'm excited. I'm just doing the preliminary groundwork right now, making some connections, getting the first few interviews set up. I don't want to put too much pressure on myself. I already have my plate is so full, God got me another set of dishes. And so I want to start out, I think, with maybe 2 days a week, and then we'll see how it goes, and maybe we'll go to 3, and at some point it may become a full-fledged 5-day-a-week kind of gig, especially if I can find some good co-hosts to come and hang out and do the show with me, Jonathan. Yeah, I'm talking to you. And anybody else that's interested, support at CFRN.net. Let me know who you are, what your background is, what kind of experience you have, and what you might be able to bring to the show, and love to have that discussion. Along the lines, let me just share this with you. Book, I've been planning to write a book. If you have an interest in being a published author, we can help you with that. This is part of one of our everything I just said. Here we go. Okay. Michael and I own this company, onlinepublishingprofits.com. If you have an interest in getting an ebook or a Kindle book published, we can help you with that. All right. Just go to this website, onlinepublishingprofits.com. Check it out. Just a couple pages. And then email me. Don't use the contact button there because I haven't switched it yet. Just email me, support@cfrn.net, and say, yeah, Dwayne, I have written a book, and I would like to get it turned into an ebook and have a Facebook fan page and hook up a Twitter account and all those other things. I want to publish and promote my book. We're in a position to help you with that now. We'd love to help you with that. Support@cfrn.net, okay? And the website, onlinepublishingprofits.com. All right, guys. Karen asked, what is the downside target for the S&P E-mini now? Well, the downside target, Karen, would be this swing low right here, which lines up not only with the tweet from last night going north, but also with last week's weekly trading zone. We had a weekly trading zone at 37.38. That saw a lot of action last week. Okay, so we've already bounced off of that once, back up to the zone. So we went from the zone down to the old zone. Now, remember, we always talk about important prices, and I didn't even bring this up today. I'm surprised. Thanks for reminding me. We had a tweet to be long at 1638. One of our biggest philosophies here is that important prices and areas are almost always tested. Look what the market did. From 38, it went all the way to the next zone up at 47, 48, and then it came back to test. 1638. It got within one tick. It got to 38 and a quarter, and then it turned around and ran all the way back to the zone. So we went from 38 to the zone, back to 38, back to the zone. Okay? So coming down here, 1638 should be good support, at least on the first move down. This was evidence here, this one tick, buyers came in, what? That's right, early. They came in early and took it back to the zone. Why would they do that? Well, because it was such a beautiful trade the last time they tried it again. Now it looks like they're going to have another opportunity. Okay? So watch for signs of buyers coming in early, and that might just open the door for you to get your couple points for the day. Once 38 is taken out, if it's taken out, we want to look at this swing low, which is 34.5, and that sets right on top of our next zone, which is 33.34 that I just showed you a minute ago. So that's what you should be looking for on the downside, Kieran. And thank you for bringing that up, because I completely failed to mention that retest of the 38. Really amazing, I think, how that just happens repeatedly. So as long as it continues to happen, let us continue to take advantage of it. Dan asked, what do you think of below 37 and a ride to the 33 zone? Well, what we got to do is we got to look left over here. That's all the way down at 32. This swing low here is 34. Okay. So what you're asking, Dan, is if we get below 37, trading it down to the zone at 33, 34. I think, Dan, you've been paying attention, and I think that might work out just fine. I think that if we take out 38, if we get below 38 and they get below 37, and especially if we do this little number, like we get below 38, and then the support becomes resistance, and we start to head down, now, keep in mind, you don't have a lot of room to run. Well, if you can get in, it depends on how close you get into 30. Even if you get in at 36, the zone's 34. That's cutting it a little close, but it is 2 points. And there's no law that says you got to take 2 points. You could, get out with a 1.5. You can use your slingshot to time your entry to reduce your risk. So I think that's a fine idea, Dan, and I'll be very interested to see how that plays out. If you don't trade it live, at least trade it in sim, okay, and get a feel for that, because I think you selected a fine trade there. Okay, guys, I'm gone. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading E-mini futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.
Hey trader, want to get rich quick? Well, good luck with that. If on the other hand you actually want to learn how to trade, the place to be is www.cfrn.net. Tune in Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern for our daily devotional, and then spend the next 3 hours learning how it's done from professional traders who actually trade for a living. That's www.cfrn.net. Every trading day from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living.
You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the